Some of my older subscribers might remember me working on one of these LCR meters. It's a 4261a Hewlett Packard. I bought this meter from eBay from a UK seller for quite a high price actually, but it was sold guaranteed working, and her father used it apparently, and it was fully working. I think he just passed away, so I thought I could do the nice LCR meter that's sort of fully auto-ranging and things, because I'm using the Wayne Kerr, which is a mechanical clunky system, and I thought, well, it's Hewlett Packard, you can't really go wrong. So I negotiated a price because she wanted something like 250 quid for it, and I managed to get it down to a sort of reasonable price. It was never going to be cheap, but she got it down to a reasonably good price. Anyway, she agreed on the price, and the meter turned up in the next couple of days. And when it turned up, all she'd done was wrapped it up in a plastic bag with one layer of bubble wrap, and all these buttons were smashed off the front, which straight away put my back up. I thought, well, I don't want this meter, because I'm going to have to repair it. And stupid person for not packing even half decently. Anyone with half a brain would know that something like that in the post is going to get broken off, but obviously didn't have much of a brain. And I come across mails like that as well before the mail chauvinists start on me. So anyway, the meter turned up, and I thought, okay, well, all the switches are broken off it. I might be able to repair a couple of them, which, as you can see, I have. But it never worked. Switched it on and it never worked. It just auto-ranged all the time, just went round and round in circles. So I contacted the seller and said, right, I want a full refund. You haven't packed it properly. All the buttons are broken off it. Doesn't work. It obviously hasn't worked for a long time. To which she gave me an instant refund. Very apologetic, and said, keep the meter. My dad would have wanted you to have it. Well, okay, very nice, thank you very much. I got a free meter out of it. But the point is that the seller told me it was working fully, and that her dad was using it. It was a load of old rubbish, basically. Anyway, cut the story short, I spent probably the next month trying to get the bloody thing to work. And I downloaded the manual, and I went through all the schematics, and I went through all the flow charts, all the fault finding, and I never ever got to the bottom why the bloody thing wouldn't work properly. It would never auto-range, the readings were totally and utterly rubbish. So I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll buy another one. I'll buy another one, or I'll buy a selection of boards and just swap the boards out until the thing works. Because I couldn't fault find it. It's far beyond my depth of knowledge, sort of logic and stuff like that. The flow charts were showing up errors, but it didn't really pinpoint to where the problem was. I thought I'd narrowed it down to a board. I can't remember which board it was now, but I thought I'd narrowed it down to a board. Anyway, I found a couple of Chinese sellers selling boards individually on eBay for an untested board for £68 plus £30 postage. So you're talking about £90 for a board that they're not even sure works. And I said, well, would you consider a lower price? No, they're not interested in a lower price. That's the price it's going to be. Okay. And I noticed 2 years down the line they're still up for sale and they haven't dropped the price. One of those eBay sellers who doesn't ever want to drop the price. So I thought, well, I'll keep an eye out for another one in working order, or maybe one that's not working, and we'll go from there. And this has been following sort of Hp4261's searches on eBay. That you can list on eBay a search, and it will narrow it down to this particular item. And every now and then the phone will come up saying, oh, it's found another Hp4261, and either it's totally irrelevant, or it's nothing at all to do with Hp4261, it's something totally different, or it doesn't find anything. You say, it says found new Hp4261, you click show me, it says no new items found, so you think, well, it's a waste of time. So I've basically given up with it, and it's been sitting at the back of the workshop. As you can see, it's covered in dust and smoke damage, probably from the fire. So I thought, well, I'll sooner or later I'll probably just throw it down the tip, and it hasn't cost me anything. I got a full refund. It's just the time and the sort of sweat that it's caused. But last week the phone went off again and said, HP4261 found, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, here we go again. And it turned out to be this HP4261 that's turned up in the post today. And I'm thinking, well, let's have a look at it. And what it was listed as non-working. It was so basically spares and repair. It was in a mess. All the front panel was filthy, labels all over it, and it said non-working, spares and repair. I think it's 40 quid from the States plus the normal shipping. So it would have cost me 75-80 quid to get it over here. So I'm thinking, well, yeah, okay, we'll take a chance on that. I think because the other meter hasn't cost me anything. I'll take a chance. Maybe we can make a good one out of the two. So the meter's turned up this evening, and I'm thinking, well, okay, first thing I'll do is I'll check to see if the mains voltage is set to 115 and set out to 240. And the really nice thing about the seller, obviously he knows it's coming to the UK. They've already set it to 240 volts, which straight away I was thinking, well, there's a bit of thought gone into this. That's good. But the meter was in a bit of a mess, and I'm thinking this isn't going to work right. So I did the normal thing: is I plugged it in, and sure enough it came up with a slightly strange symbols on the display. I'm thinking, well, it looks like half the segments are missing. And I thought, well, I'll try a capacitor on it just to see, what it's like, and then we can go from there and start swapping the boards out. So I've got this is a 100 microfarad capacitor on it. So I plugged it in, set it to the C range, automatic. Triggering is on internal, so basically it's triggering on its internal sample. You can actually manually trigger it. Plug the capacitor in. Straight away, 86 microfarad. Well, I'm thinking, well, at least the other meter would have shown nothing. It would have just been jumping around all over the range, and it wouldn't have given you any sensible figure at all. So it's a 100 microfarad capacitor. I'm thinking, well, all right. That looks reasonable enough. Let's try something else. So I thought I dug up an old capacitor here that I took out of the Solutron, which is 1000 micro 440 volts. So I thought I'd plug that in and see what that does, and I plugged that in. Okay. Well, it sounds like it's sort of working on the capacitance range. So then I started to mess about with some of the other settings, like the parallel and serial settings. And really, to be honest with you, everything I've tried so far in the capacitance range has worked absolutely fine. So I'm thinking, well, that's a good start, because it's supposed to be spares and repair. So I moved on to a couple of resistors. This is an orange, green, yellow, which I think is 3.3 meg. Okay, 3.27 meg. Brilliant. So I haven't tested it on inductors yet, and I don't think I've actually got any sort of windings in the workshop I know the inductance of. But what it's turned out to be is a working LCR meter that was sold for spares and repair. Isn't it ironic that you buy a meter that's sold fully working doesn't work, and a meter that's sold for spares and repair that works absolutely fine as far as I can tell. I've also managed to find more or less the same time, and it's not the same seller, this is a UK seller, a full HP manual for these meters, and these are very rare, these meters. I mean, this is the other one. I've only seen one for sale in the UK. I haven't seen any others, and it looks like it's alright. It's a bit dated now. I know you can do all this sort of stuff in a almost like a calculator-sized piece of test equipment, but it's really nice, and I'm hoping it's going to replace the Wayne Kerr, which is a bit clunky. It serves a good purpose, but I just thought you'd be interested to see. It just goes to show that if you wait and you're a bit patient, you can get quite a decent sort of piece of test equipment for very little money. And quite honestly, I think they sell them for spares and repair, because they really haven't got a clue if they work or not. You get a blagger who will say, yeah, it works absolutely perfectly, think she's going to rip someone off, and fails. And the other person, who's probably a bit more cautious, thinks, well, I'm not sure if it works. If I set it for spares and repairs, I'm covered. It works. The buyer's happy. They get positive feedback. The other person gets negative feedback. Anyway, it's a bit of a lesson to be learnt from for eBay sellers as well. To be honest with you, if you're an eBay seller and you think you're going to rip someone off, think again, because if a person's buying a specialist piece of test equipment, they know what they're talking about. Thanks for watching, and more to come.